All right, be honest. So in this case, for sketching, right, we have that telephone pole, and it is supported by two wires, right, like that. One of them has an angle of elevation of 35, the other one has an angle of elevation of 60, and they are 15 feet apart, like that. And so that's all you can really do here. And so that'll be a 1 mark attributed to that. This is required to get started. So if you did it right here, you can call this angle A, B, C, whatever. If you didn't give it letters, it's okay. So this would be 180 minus 60 minus 35. So angle A ends up being 85, right? If you didn't have that, that's fine at the beginning, but you will need this sum at some point anyway. So to figure out the length of each wire, make sure you call it something, right? X, Y, attribute variables to it. You can call it wire 1, wire 2 for all I care. So sine of 85, right? This 85-degree angle here has its side right across, so that's perfect for sine law. So if you go sine of 60, right, you're solving for x. And so that ends up being 15 times sine of 60 divided by sine of 85, right? And that gives you 13.04, right? For the for me, that's called wire X, right? Which would be adjacent to the 35-degree angle. That's what I care about. And you repeat that one more time, except for now we're going to use sine of 35 and put that over y, right? And so y is 15 times sine of 35 divided by sine of 85. And so y is 8.64 feet. And I didn't do a good job drawing this, but the 60 is steeper, right? So technically this wire is like that with respect to that, but I'm not too picky with that. So there we go. So the way I would mark this is I would give you 2 marks for the first one you find, and then 1 mark for the second one because it's the same step really. So 3 marks for B in this particular case, if you did it right. So let's say you get the first one wrong, I'd still give you 1 mark for doing, if you did it the same way the second time, got the wrong answer, I'd still give you 1 out of 3 there for sure. C, you have options here because you know both wires. So if you want to use X, right, so 13.04, right, this side right here times sine of the angle that's touching that slanted side. And so you get 7.48 feet is the height of the pole. That's just a 1 mark scenario. If you cut it out, that one triangle, and you did the sine of 90 over, that's fine. If you don't know, if you couldn't remember the shortcut, it's okay with me. You get the same answer if you use the other side. If you use y times sine of 60, you get the exact same answer. Sometimes you might be off by 0.01 because of rounding, and that's fine. Just show your work. Okay, so this page is 5 marks. I would say this is a entry, right? Entry level. You can't go wrong, right? The pole's in the middle. The wires go to either side. Mind you, read carefully. You've seen hydro poles, right, that have 2 wires on the same side, right? So I'll be specific there. So don't always think, oh, guy wires is like this, right? Or wires, it's always going to be on opposite sides. So, yeah, okay. Let's keep going. Next page, question 2. Took some of you for a spin. Maybe I wasn't specific enough. So, anyways, this is what I envisioned here. This is the cliff. There's a swamp, right? I'm going to call this D for Mr. D. And then you've got geese and then some beavers. And we know that they're 100 yards apart, right? So this is actually part of the triangle. And watch this, right? Because it's angle of depression, right? This is 50 degrees here. You have a 50-degree angle of depression to the geese, and then it says that 100 yards back, he notices beavers at an angle of depression of 30. So from the horizontal, you measure down like that. So what you could do here is say, hey, if this is 30, then what's this here? Right, 50 minus 30, that's 20. Right, you could have immediately figured that out. You can bring this 30 because these are horizontal lines, right? This 30, you can bring it in and make this 30 here, alternate interior, right there. Okay, so that'd be 30. And then you can use sum of triangle to figure out this one, which is 130, right? Or you can actually bring this 50 down. If you look at this 50, you can bring that in here. And then these are supplementary angles, so that's 130. So regardless of how you do it, you get that, right? So that's why I'm giving you 2 marks for the diagram here, because I wanted all the angles that are part of this obtuse triangle here to show up. So I would give you 1 mark if you just have the basics, 2 marks if you have all the angles inside that triangle labeled, right? And now, so tricky, right? This is a tricky one. Calculate the distance between Mr. D and the geese. So this one right here, I'm going to call that X. Okay. So I have 20 across the side of 100 yards. So sine of 20 degrees across 100 yards. And I want to use sine of 30 very specifically. This angle gets me that side, right? So I set it up like that. So it's 100 times sine of 30 divided by sine of 20, and that is 146.19 yards. Okay, so I will give you 2 marks for this one, right? And it all started, right, with this angle right here. That sliver is across this side. That is the pair that I'm using here, right, to get me started. And then I use sine of 30 to get that one. Okay, for C, watch what I'm doing here. Use cosine law. So I want you to use cosine law, even though it could have been done differently, to calculate the distance between Mr. D and the beaver. So I'm going to call that side Y. And you have this side, that angle, and this side, right? So you can go Y squared is equal to 146.19 squared plus 100 squared minus 2 times the first one times the second one times cosine of 130. Okay, you type that all into your calculator. You need to take the square root of that, and you get 50,165.34 and so forth, and you get 223.98 yards. Anybody use sine law for this one? If you use sine law and you got this, I would give you 1.5 out of 2 because I think you're still able to get that answer, right? But this is what you should be getting. And this is worth 2 marks as well. 1 mark for setup and 1 mark for the work and correct answer. If you made a mistake up here, listen, if this is wrong, obviously you're using this here, right? So I would still give you full marks if you did the work correctly. I would call it step, right? Like go step check. It's telling me that you still followed the correct procedure. You're working off of a wrong answer in the previous section, right? So you'd still get 2 marks. D, determine the height. So you have options here. you can use y times sine of 30, right? So y is right here, 223.98 times sine of 30, and that is 111.99. Look at that. That is the actual height. And so whatever you got here, if I see you using this side, for example, plug it in here and you're multiplying it by sine of 30, you would still get a step mark there. You would still get 1 mark for that step. Okay. Or if you use side x for me times sine of 50, you still get the height that way. Okay, so you got to go review how to find the height. That was posted last Friday, right? And the bonus, let's do the bonus real quick. How far are the beavers from the base of the cliff, right? So let's do a quick diagram like this. We know the height is 111.99. We know this side, y here, this is 223.98, right? The hypotenuse. So I can call this z, right? The distance here. I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So z is just 223.98 squared minus 111.99 squared. I have to do this actually. And that is 3762528, so forth. 193.97 yards. If you use sine law or something else to find that, that's fine. You can actually do that, right? This is 90, this is 30, so this up here is 60, right? So you could use a pair here, use a 60 to find that one. You might have a slightly different answer, but that's okay. So this would be a +1 if you got this one, right? And obviously if your answers are off, but you're showing me the steps, you would still get the bonus marks, okay? You would still get the bonus marks if you show me that work. Next, we have XYZ. And I was a little careful here. I made sure that the longest side here is my 7-inch. So that'd be Z up here. So I made this X for 3 inches and 5 inches Y. So it doesn't matter, X, Y, Z. To be honest, it doesn't matter to me how you did it. But the largest angle is where? Across from the longest side, right? So you're trying to find Z. So cosine, that's a side scenario, right? Cosine of Z is whatever you do, make sure the 7 squared is at the end. And then it's 5 squared plus 3 squared. 2 times 5 times 3. Yikes. Okay. You get negative 15 over 30. Okay. And so Z is cosine inverse of negative 0.5 essentially. So that's 120 degrees. Yay, right? I didn't ask you to sketch, so technically no sketch required. If you're able to function without a sketch, then hey, you're good. You're smarter than me. Okay. Not a hard skill anyways. Yeah. It does? Apparently I don't read my own questions. Thank you. 2 marks for that one. So 2, 4, 6, 7, and 2 is 9. So 9, you can score 10 out of 9 if you got the bonus, right? Don't be too harsh on your marking, right? Don't go 0, 0, 0. If you have some work, you usually get at least 1 here or there, right? If it's decent. If it's completely off, then I do take off more. So 9 and 5, that's 14. Potentially 15 that you could earn, but 14 is the total. Question? I'll come and see you.